Canada treats you to a whole new fiesta for 2022. This time, the party is extra special because we're celebrating Filipino heritage in 5 different cities: Vaughan, Toronto, Hamilton, Niagara, Montreal. This year, the festivities is tremendously huge. That showcases family-friendly Filipino festival. Don't miss the happiest cultural celebration in the world.
From the eye clinic that introduces unique, funky, and fashionable eyewear, 7 taon na ang nakakaraan, continues to deliver. Sunny Optical is the one. Patuloy at tuloy-tuloy ang alagang makabayan, serbisyong Canadian. If you're looking for the distinctive, innovative, and coveted frames and sunglasses, Sunny Optical now serves our patrons much better. At dahil may Pinoy optometrist and optician that can speak Tagalog, alam namin ang pangangailangan nyo. 2 locations, 1 vision. They accept direct billing with insurance companies. In Ontario, we are located at First Markham Place, 3255 Highway 7 East, Unit 166. In Thornhill, we are at 1 Promenade Circle, Y007 at T&T Supermarket Entrance. Kita-kita na lang kabayan at Sunny Optical. Feel free to contact us, 905-7311-999. Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Action Honda, where car ownership is made easy. Located at 4334 Kingston Road, Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Come to Action Honda. Whether bibili ka o hindi, it's always a pleasure to talk sa kababayan. Mabuhay!
Great car deals in action. Your Filipino friends ready at your service. Test drive at Action Honda today.
Magandang araw po sa lahat ng sumusubaybay dito sa PinoyRadio.com. Ako po si Atty. Maria Eleanor Rodriquez, ang makakasama ninyo for the next hour dito sa programang Konting Kaalaman, Malaking Katulungan. For today, we have a guest who is a judge in the Philippines. She was my friend from law school in San Beda. She was my teammate in soccer. We had a soccer team back then, and she was one of my players. And of course, she has been a lawyer since, I believe, 1998. Now, from June 2001 to May 2003, our guest worked as a court attorney at the Office of Justice L.V. John S. Asuncion Court of Appeals in Manila. In May 2003 to June 2004, she was a branch clerk of court, Regional Trial Court of Makati City, Branch 142, Specialized Designated Commercial Court. In June 2004 to September 2011, she was a court attorney 5 at the Office of Justice Estela M. Perlas Bernabe, Court of Appeals. Specialized in labor, ejectment, and intra-corporate rehabilitation cases. From September 2011 to March 2021, she served as a court attorney 6 at the Office of Justice Estela M. Perlas Bernabe at the Supreme Court of the Philippines. Specialized in labor, commercial law, and civil cases covering family law and land disputes. Assigned as supervising lawyer, revision and pre-appreciation stages in the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. She was also assigned to the Supreme Court's pool of lawyers to study and submit draft reports on the oldest cases left unresolved. So these were the backlogs of the Supreme Court. And from March 25, 2021 to the present, she is the regional trial court judge. She is a regional trial court judge at large, she is an assisting judge at Branch 18 Regional Trial Court of Tagaytay City. She is assigned to handle all cases from January 2018 that were not yet submitted for decision and all current cases referred to Branch 18. So let us now welcome our judge guest, Judge MINNELLI ROCIO-CARVAJAL. Hi, Judge Carvajal. Welcome to Konting Kaalaman, Malaking Katulungan.
Hi, Atty. Tiny.
So, I gave them a gist of where you've been, what you've done, and I guess we have a lot of things to discuss because, you know, you had a lot of experiences with different kinds of courts. Well, yeah, and nakita mo specialization mo, and isa doon yung land. I know a lot of Filipinos, especially people in Filipinos from abroad, yung may mga lupa sa Philippines, they will be very interested to hear what you have to say about, you know, certain things that I think people like me who live in a different country na, yung may mga properties sa Philippines, they would want to know a lot of, you know, a lot of things kasi gaya ng patitula ng lupa, right? Yung mga in-inherit nilang lupa dyan, anong gagawin. So, but before we go to that point, let me just ask you about your background. It's very interesting. So, ang tagal mo pala sa Supreme Court, right?
Yes.
September
11 years.
Wow, tagal. And I also mentioned to our audience that you were my soccer teammate. So,
yes, during freshman ko sa San Beda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes. So, if you see her on the bench at mukha stricto, just think about her playing soccer. Or hindi ka masyadong kabahan. Malakas siya sumipa. Anyway, so of all of these experiences you've had, ano yung pinaka nagustuhan mong trabaho sa lahat?
Okay. Well, as a court attorney, of course, you're always just behind the four walls. Mm-hmm. You're actually not allowed to mingle with others because of the confidentiality of the work involved. The most challenging role was before the Supreme Court, of course, definitely.
Yeah.
You really have to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. It's the court of last resort, so you really have to think beyond what you know. Mm-hmm. So that's the best. To challenge your mind to think further than what you already know. Yeah. So the tendency is to think deeper, to assess it in a more in-depth manner. So
I guess you have to be creative sometimes, right?
Yeah, kasi you have to put yourself in their shoes, in both sides before you decide which one is more just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Alam mo, one thing I liked working as a solicitor at the Office of the Solicitor General, I keep saying, iba kasi yung role namin, di ba? Especially when it comes to appealed criminal cases. We actually review the judge's decision, right? And then either recommend, to the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court kung tama ba yung judge o hindi ba, right? And well, normally yung boss ko noon, sumalangit nawa ang kanyang kaluluwa, Judge De La Cruz. He's one of the best ASGs in the Office of the Solicitor General, and he became a Solicitor General himself, right? Siya lang yayating he rose from the ranks, di ba? Usually, ganun. Siya talagang pero, so yun. Anyway, so yung, ang gusto niya, pag sinabi ng judge, syempre, ang tendency natin is i-support yung decision ng judge, right? yung ganon, di ba? Kasi naman, judge yun eh, di ba? Pinag-aralin yun. But there are times na I see something that, needs to be, I guess, opposed. Not opposed, pero I need to let my ASG know na hindi, mali yung judge, yung decision niya. There are certain cases na ganun eh. And there are times na
judges make mistakes.
Yeah, right? And so, kaya nga, parang, that's why I like it because we're the next pair of eyes that will help someone, parang para sa akin, parang I'm helping hindi lang yung government. Hindi naman ako porque solicitor ako, government lang, di ba? Kaya ka nga nandun, kaya ka nga binigyan ng role na i-review mo eh. Kasi para masiguro na tama, right? And syempre, you're also, liberty is at stake pagdating sa ganyang criminal cases na nakakulong, etc. Di ba? So there was a time na yun, meron akong pinasok sa boss ko na, sabi ko, dapat baliktarin yung decision ng judge. Sabi niya, okay, explain to me why. So, in front of him, talaga, I-argue ko yung case ko. Talagang, kasi hindi ka pwedeng basta na lang. Siyempre, hindi out of whim, ayoko, mali ang judge. No, mas mahirap actually, as a solicitor, mas mahirap na gumawa na hindi sundin yung judge, yung decision niya. Kasi pag susundin mo yung decision, sabi lang, tama yung decision.
Yes, very easy to go with the flow. Yeah. Oo.
Mas mahirap yung ginagawa ko na hindi, mali eh. Kasi kailangan mong labanan ngayon yun, right? Ipakita mo na talagang mali, kung bakit mali, right? So yun ang ginagawa ni Judge de la Cruz noon. May isang case talaga, ginanon niya ako, talagang, sige, why? Talaga sarap niya, argue ako, maya-maya. Tapos ka na, yes. Wrong. Ha? Palitan mo yan. Hindi tama yan. Tama yung judge. Parang,
in the Supreme Court, we do the same thing as court going. Yeah, if we disagree with the decision of the Court of Appeals, definitely, I talk to my boss, Justice Bernabe, and then you try to convince. And then if she is convinced, the next step is to convince the other members of the division, and there's a time she would call the other justices. And then you deliberate with them. Just imagine the justices of the Supreme Court.
I know, diba? But that's the thing eh. That's the role. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Kasi meron akong teammate din. Sabi niya sa akin, bakit ka masyadong rebelde? Ha? Ikaw lang, hindi mo napansin. Ikaw lagi nag-oppose sa mga decision ng mga judge. Sabi ko, hindi. Ako lang yung matyaga na, alam mo yun, pinagtyagaan ko lang.
Sisiin mo yung, yung records and everything.
Pero minsan kasi, there's no air of reality to the testimony. I remember one time, sabi ko, Judge, saan ka naman nakakita ng bumabaril daw, nakaganon pa? Ano yan? Movie ba yan ng FPJ? Sige, mga ganun yung argument ko sa kanya. Kaya hindi ako manalo-nalo, may pag-ganon-ganon pa. No, but yun yung point ko, di ba? That's your job. Bakit ka nilagay dyan? To make sure na tama nga. Diba? Ngayon kung mali, andun ka rin para sabihin na mali eh. Diba? Ba't ka matatakot? And other people, they just don't want to do it. Kasi mas madali nga mag-adapt eh. Kesa dun sa ginagawa kong oppose, sa rebelde pa ako. Anyway, so I enjoyed my stint with the OSG talaga. I really enjoyed it. And I want to go back to my real little crush. Anyway, yun, gusto ko talagang bumalik sa OSG. But moving forward, let us now go to the topics that I have prepared for Justice Judge MINNELLI Carvajal. Titling of property, real estate property in the Philippines. Marami pang lupa na walang title, right?
Yes.
And nasa Tagaytay ka. Diyan ba marami pa rin ganyang cases?
Sa ngayon, no. It's more of majority are lost title. It's always a constitution of lost title. But if it is an original, unregistered land, very minimal now. And it's really hard to seek a registration of an unregistered land, yung mga free patents, yung mga homestead patent, and then you want it to have registered. It's a very tedious process. So it's, I think, around 2% ng land cases here in Tagaytay. Most of them are already registered.
Okay. Kasi there's still a few in Parañaque, like ours, and there are other people that I know. Actually, I know someone who has a property in Tagaytay, hindi pa napapatituluhan. So may mga konti-konti pa, right? Now, anong unang-una nilang dapat gawin? Siyempre, kumuha ng abogado.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, of course, you get a lawyer and then you will need documents to present in court. Of course, when you file your application, your petition for issuance of a original certificate of title. So number one, of course, you need to get an approval from the LRA. Yung survey, and then the LRA will say that this is an alienable and disposable land, agricultural land. Because they're actually, kasi under yung property registration decree natin, there are different modes of acquiring ownership, different kinds of land, depende siya, may mga classifications. But the most common is the alienable and disposable public land.
Yeah.
So yun yung pinoprove, yung iba yung, if you remember in law school, the oxen possession and occupation. The third, yung open, continuous, exclusive, and notorious possession and occupation. So that's what you need to prove.
And
so
one
how
of
do
the
you
things,
prove that? Tax deck.
Tax deck, diba?
Yeah.
Paano kung ang mahal-mahal nung nagbayad ka pero hindi mo na naituloy? Meron kang sum na binayaran mo, diba? And eventually hindi mo na nabayaran kasi ang mahal eh. Pwede na ba 'yon? Yung
when you file, you need to have it updated.
Okay. So
as long as you have the tax deck in your name, medyo safe ka pa.
Paano kung wala
sa ganun eh?
Nasa answer. Paano sa name pa nung lolo mo? Pero ikaw nagbayad.
Okay. It doesn't matter because if ever it would be registered in the name nung
resident,
registered taxpayer, yung lolo niya, or if kung gusto niya in his or her name, ang gagawin niya is yung established relationship.
Yeah. So lahat naman
inheritance, you just prove yung status mo in what capacity you are filing.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So maraming proseso 'yan. Siguro ang pinakamagandang gawin nyo kumuha kayo ng abogado. Pero syempre yung papasukat yung ipapasurvey nyo yan.
Yes, because
right?
There will be jurisdictional requirements There will be jurisdictional requirements during the initial hearing when I issue an order finding the petition sufficient in form and substance, meaning all the documents are there and then there is merit in your claim. I will set that for initial hearing, and that order needs to be published in the newspaper of general circulation for all the oppositors to know. It's a notice to the whole world, di ba?
How many?
3 consecutive weeks yan. So usually we set it a month after I find na, okay, sige, go. If I get the case na raffled na ganyan, kasi inira-raffle ang mga ganyan application. So if it comes to my court, I assess yung petition and then the attachments, and if I find them complete, so I set it for initial hearing. And during the scheduled initial hearing, we have the petition read in open court, and I make my staff go outside the courtroom. Sinisigaw talaga nila yan. Are there any oppositors? There is a pending petition now, ongoing petition for hearing of this case of ganyan. Any oppositors? I do that. We do that every hearing for land cases. Just to make sure that everybody is notified. But at the same time, there are the required postings naman like here in Tagaytay sa City Hall, sa bulletin board ng barangay where the property is located, yung mga ganun. But the very initial stage is jurisdictional requirements. So that is the capacity of the applicant, why he or she is filing that application. And then yung posting, the newspaper, yung publication. And then next na dyan, that's the time you have to present your witnesses. And now, mind you, we don't have direct examination. the rule now is judicial affidavit rule. So you have to submit, 5 days before the scheduled hearing, the judicial affidavit of your intended witness has to be submitted to the court.
So you don't examine them anymore?
Not anymore. But
Wow.
what I do is, once the witness is there, I make the lawyer instruct the witness to identify documents. So that's the time they would make the markings.
Markings
Pero
lang.
as
Hindi
to
mo.
markings na lang, for purposes of markings na lang, and for the witness, of course, to identify the original documents. But other than that, wala na. So subject
Pero may
for
cross-examination.
cross-examination.
So,
Yes, the cross.
okay.
The cross would be limited only to the judicial affidavit. Any other
Whatever
matters outside that, wala na. Hindi, even if it's a cross.
Oo.
O, kaya mas mabilis ngayon.
Is that only for land cases or
No, it's all cases na. Well,
in criminal?
Except for criminal in the first level courts. For cases involving offenses which has a penalty of less than 6 years, judicial affidavit. But in the RTC, no. There has to be a direct testimony. But I did have a case. It was frustrated murder, and I was shocked that there was an judicial affidavit.
Talaga?
The reason of the prosecutor was physical, not incapacity, but more of it was hard for him to testify. That's why he moved that the judicial affidavit be admitted.
Accepted.
And the accused counsel actually opposed. He said it was outside the rules on judicial affidavit. But I said, nonetheless, it may remain on record, and he may conduct his cross. It would not prevent him from conducting his cross.
May cross naman eh. Kasi
and he may go beyond.
tutusin mo nga, prerogative na rin niya yun. Kumbaga, wala namang mawawala sa defense eh. 'Di ba? Kung I mean, yung prosecutor na humingi nun, 'di ba? So wala namang mawawala sa defense eh. Nandun na naman lahat, makokross.
Actually, it will be harder for the prosecution. For the prosecution side to restrict the testimony sa judicial affidavit. It's a very dangerous method of presenting the victim himself.
Oo nga. Yeah. O tsaka, di ba, parang, iba kasi kung ikaw yung victim, ipepresent ka, iba yung nakikita nung judge, nung tao, yung mismong tao, di ba? Kasi human being to pinag-usapan natin, as opposed to the cold letters letters on the paper, di ba?
Yes.
Di ba? Parang mas maganda nga na.
And I did have a hard time kasi I wanted to ask so many questions because the judicial affidavit was too general. It was, for me, I felt it was a little vague. And I wanted to propound questions, but of course, I cannot do lawyering for the prosecution. So I just have to keep myself to whatever is there. And just a few clarifications lang, but not to lead either parties to where it should go.
Okay. So andun na tayo sa titling.
Okay.
Move on tayo sa lost title.
Yes.
Kung nawala mo yung titulo at hindi pa natatransfer sa'yo,
the first thing you need to do is make an affidavit of loss.
Okay.
Execute an affidavit of loss.
Paano kung wala yung affidavit of loss?
No, just execute another one.
Kung patay na yung nakawala.
Yung nakawala, the heirs could do it. And then they would
say that
they would say that they are looking for it for whatever purpose, and then they discovered that it was lost.
Okay.
Yes.
Pwede na nga. Tama ka dyan. Tama ka, Judge. And then, so yun nga. And then,
have it annotated.
lang naman, di ba?
Mabilis lang yan. Just execute an affidavit of loss, register it sa RD, and then file your case in court.
For reconstitution of title.
Reconstitution of lost title. So the usual procedure, jurisdictional requirements, which is the posting and publications in newspaper. And then initial hearing, jurisdictional requirements, present the compliance. Kasi na. It's very easy.
So, dapat, di ba? but you'd be
It's
surprised.
supposed to be, yes.
Supposed to be, yeah. Now, eto, have you ever dealt with probate of will of foreigners? Yung foreigners meaning former Filipino citizens but moved to the US or to Canada or different parts of the country, of the world, na hindi na sila citizen, hindi sila duwala, ano lang sila, Canadian or US citizen or whatever, but they have properties in the Philippines. Because I know a lot of people are wondering, what do we do? Because they don't know. Ako, for example, I'm Canadian, but I have properties in the Philippines and I have children both in the Philippines and in Canada. Now I want to make a will, right? Okay. And from what I know, if you are a national, well, what governs your will is the law of the country where you are a national of, right? Yes. Kung ka ng Canada, pag gumawa ka ng will, it has to be in accordance with Canadian laws. If you're from the US, the will that you make is in accordance with US laws, right? Having said that, di ba, Judge, in the Philippines, we still have the legitimate, compulsory heirs, etc. mga ganon, di ba? Yes. In other words, you cannot just, if you're Filipino, you cannot just dispose of your property whichever way you want, right?
Yes.
Kahit will mo pa yan, right?
Yes.
So there are certain restrictions. And what are those?
What are those? Well, of course, you cannot remove a compulsory heir.
Ano yung compulsory heir? Para alam nila.
Yes, the compulsory heirs are, okay, we go by the, okay, there are these levels of succession, order of succession. So, of course, from the decedent, the person who died, the immediate, or these are the compulsory heirs would be, if married, the spouse. If they have kids, including the kids. And so the inclusion of these compulsory heirs would be the exclusion of the other heirs, meaning siblings no namatay. Mga kapatid nun, they would be out. Ang magiging considered lang muna for purposes of inheritance would be the children and the spouse. If there would be illegitimate, of course, there are other rights governing the rights of illegitimate children. But basically, priority ng law, the compulsory heirs, which is the children or the grandchildren and the spouse. So those are the compulsory heirs.
So meaning to say direct line, right?
Direct line, yes.
Okay. Now, so ibig sabihin ni Judge, for those of you who are listening, kung di nyo naintindihan, hindi nyo pwedeng ibigay kahit kanino na lang yung lupa nyo, yung properties nyo, kung may anak kayo, right? At kaya kung may asawa kayo. Kahit dinivorce nyo yung asawa nyo, kung Filipino kayo, hindi valid ang divorce nyo sa Philippines. Okay?
Yes.
Kasi there are still people who are Filipino citizens, but they're living in a different country. They're living in Canada, for example, but they haven't annulled their marriage yet. But they divorced here, so may asawa na silang iba, right?
Yeah.
So wag kayo malilito. You still are a Filipino citizen, meaning to say, the laws of the Philippines still follow you wherever you go.
Yes, it will still apply. Yes.
So, ang kailangan niyong gawin, magpa-annul kayo. If you really want na, mawala na talaga, magpa-annul kayo. But, going back to the will, if you make your will and you're Filipino, you have to make sure that it is in accordance with Philippine laws. Meaning, ibibigay niyo yan sa anak niyo o sa asawa niyo, right? Now, anong mangyayari, Judge Carvajal, if they gave it to non-compulsory heirs sa ibang tao? What will happen to the will?
Okay, of course. Okay, this is what happens. First of all, if there is a will, you have to go to court.
Joke.
Yeah, there is always a way when there's a will. Yeah, there's a way to enforce the will.
Yes.
Okay. To enforce that will, you have to go to court. And you have to tell the court, Judge, there is an existing will. This needs to be recognized first. So this is what we call the allowance of will. And then when once you have proven the existence of this will, the court will now call all the persons named in the will. And they will be given opportunity to know what is going on with the will, especially what properties will be involved. So this will also actually include creditors. Creditors and if somebody opposes it, everybody will be there. So this is for the allowance. So you produce the will to court, you tell the judge, there is a will and we want to execute this will. So yun. So that is first yung allowance or disallowance of will yan. And once it is approved, so now we go to the court will issue, I don't know if you will recall this, yung what do you call this? Letters of administration that annotated on the titles, yung mga lahat na affected, meaning that there is now an ongoing hearing for the execution of the will. So from there, yun na yun. Now the question will come in now, what if there are other people included in the will? Okay? So of course, the court will first determine. It will not invalidate yung tao na yun, that third person. It will first determine, the court will first determine, has the rights of the compulsory heirs, meaning yung mga anak, not affected. So kailangan priority pa rin. Kailangan priority pa rin yung asawa, of course, the legitimate spouse and the children. And then the outsiders would usually be taken what we call free portion. Medyo complicated that way. Yeah,
complicated na.
Lawyers talk na to, but that's what happens. The court will, of course, not set aside yung kung sino
totally.
Okay. Not totally.
So in other words, eto, siguro pinaka simple example, meron kayong pizza pie. Kalahati niyan, kalahati, tamba.
Now, assuming all credits are gone.
Wala na.
Wala na.
So, eto na lang.
Yung half of the pizza would automatically go to the spouse, to the wife or husband. Yes. And then of the remaining half would be
mga anak.
Another half. So 1/4 of that.
Sa anak yon.
For the wife again. Because remember, this is absolute community.
Wala kasi kami dito
na kayo, di ba?
Yeah.
So yung first half would be, of course, your
wife.
Definite share for the wife. Di ba? Joint contribution eh. So,
pero dun sa one-third portion, ang hati ng wife is equivalent to 1 portion of 1 child, di ba?
Yes, one.
Right?
Yes.
So ngayon doon, hati-hati lang sila. Kung halimbawa, 2 anak, kalahati sa spouse, tapos yung kalahati, hatiin mo ulit.
Hatiin,
Yung ito,
3.
i-divide mo sa 3. Kasi isang asawa, 2 anak. Kung 5 anak, i-divide mo sa 6. So ganun yun. And then this is the free portion, right? So ganun yung example kasi nung law school tayo, di ba? Ganun yun. So yun na natatandaan ko. Tingnan nyo, may natatandaan ako. Present ako nun. Present ako nun.
Congratulations!
So yun yung, so yun ang law ng Pilipinas sa succession na dapat sundin ng will ninyo, right? Kung ang will nyo, inilagay nyo kalahati sa anak nyo, hindi nyo binigyan asawa nyo kasi busit na busit ka sa asawa mo. Sabihin na natin ng lalaki o ng babae. Right? Hindi mo pwede sabihin rason yun. Na, ng babae yun, hindi ko bibigay. Ibibigay ng court sa kanya yun. Kahit anong ilagay mo sa will mo, right? Iaayos ng court yun.
A compulsory heir cannot be what we call preterited.
Preterited. Okay.
Yes.
Ibig sabihin ng preterited para maintindihan nila.
Excluded.
Ayun.
You cannot be excluded.
Ngayon, etong payo ko sa inyo bilang abogado. Hindi. Oh, by the way, okay. I keep forgetting this, but I have to say this. I'm a lawyer. I'm interviewing a judge. But whatever we talk about in this show, anything, legal matters, whatever.
Yes,
It's not
these are
legal
just-
advice, okay? It's just information for you, Hindi nyo pwedeng gamitin to para pumunta sa court and say,
Yes, because these are just mere opinions.
Oo. Nasabi kasi ni judge, ganun. No, you cannot do that.
Yes.
This is just informational, educational. It's not for you to say na ito na yung legal advice namin. We're not giving legal advice in this show.
We are not primary source of law.
Oo, hindi. Discussion lang to ng dalawang may sariling opinion din minsan, di ba? Not legal, personal na to. Wala, ito lang yung explanation namin. And like I said, ito yung natutunan namin sa law school, ito yung nakikita namin sa everyday trabaho namin as a lawyer, siya as a judge, yung experiences namin. So, and every case is different, okay? So meron man kaming sinabi, everything's general. As you can see, we did not really we didn't specify any detail or anything. So general lang po to. Okay? Ano lang 'yon para malinaw. Now, nawala na ako. So yun na. Now, ang payo ko lang sa inyo, kung gusto niyo talagang hindi bigyan ng asawa niyo ng bababae o ng lalaki, i-disinherit niyo. Meron tayong procedure for disinheritance, 'di ba? So, pagdating sa disinheritance, anong gagawin nila? File lang nila sa court? Is this a document that they...
It will be part of the will. You can actually put it there, the conditions of the distribution of property. Of course, there will be the stipulations there of who would be disinherited. And of course, even the reasons will be cited there.
Oh, it has
and
to
they
be.
can actually propose that stipulation relative to disinheritance. Everything will be discussed na kasi it will be opened na. But we are talking here, if you are a Filipino already abroad, na you will make a will. But if you are already a Canadian citizen, of course, the Canadian laws will apply to you.
Now you can dispose of it any which way you want. Sa Canada,
yes,
it's your property, then you can do away with it.
But if it involves properties here in the Philippines, so we have another procedure for that, which is this is, you have to, if you go through, I don't know if you go through courts then to enforce a will in Canada.
Not necessarily.
No.
Probate.
Okay.
Pag may probate,
For the probate, for the probate of wills. So if there would be a decision, then you can just have that forwarded here in the Philippines, and then just establish that there was a probate of will. And then the Philippine courts will definitely, as much as possible, recognize that foreign judgment. That is why we have this.
Yun yung tinatawag doon, di ba? What do you call that procedure? Recognition of foreign judgment?
Recognition of foreign judgment, yes.
So yun.
So you can have it first here in the Philippines then.
So yun yung mga, yun na. Ngayon, let's moving on to the next topic. So yun yung will. Okay na tayo sa will. Let's go to annulment and recognition of foreign divorce naman. Kasi maraming interesado dyan. Kasi marami dyan na nag-asawa na. Ito nangyayari kasi, even in the United States. They go to the United States or Canada, right? And then they file their divorce. And it gets granted kahit Pilipino pa sila. Right? But what they don't know is that if you're still a Filipino citizen, kahit divorced ka na kahit sabihin na natin your divorce was granted here, your divorce was granted in Canada, if you're still a Filipino citizen, hindi valid yon pag umuwi ka sa atin. Pag uwi mo sa atin, asawa mo pa rin asawa mo. In other words, dalawa asawa mo ngayon. Merong asawa sa Canada, merong asawa sa Pilipinas. Kasi hindi mo pinaanal. The only way you can dissolve your marriage is annulment, right? Diba, Judge? So
actually, that is the conflict. That is a conflict actually up to now for those yung mga dual citizens.
Yun. Paano yun?
Diba? Let's say Canadian and Filipino. Canadian laws allow divorce. So if you seek a divorce, as far as you're concerned, you're Canadian, divorced ka na.
Yeah.
Pero you're also Filipino citizen na dito hindi. So you cannot enforce na sa Canada pwede ako talaga mag-divorce. So there is really a conflict up to yung present it has not, there has been no case yet.
Ang gawin natin ganito. wag muna kayo mag-dual citizen. This is what you do. You file your divorce, okay? Pag na-divorce na kayo, Canadian citizen kayo, padala nyo ngayon sa Philippines to be recognized. Recognition of foreign divorce. Na-recognize na. Wala na talaga. So ngayon, i-activate nyo sa NSO na wala ka ng kasal, di ba? Tsaka ka ngayon mag-dual citizen.
Then have your citizenship.
Ganon. Patience lang. Hintayin mo lang. Huwag ka magmamadali.
Yes, it is viable, yes. And given that the procedure for recognition of foreign judgment, it's adversarial, but it won't really take so long.
So yun nga, yun yung payo ko sa mga clients ko. Sabi ko, just wait it out, you know. Kasi, and tsaka annulment, yun pa, isang annulment, right? There are people who want to file their annulment in the Philippines. Yeah, you can do that. But we were discussing earlier, there's residency requirement, di ba? So ano yung requirement na yun sa annulment? If someone from, let's say, from the United States or Canada want to file an annulment in the Philippines sa mga asawa nila na nandyan, anong gagawin nila? Is that possible if they have been living here for so long? Now, clearly, they're no longer residents of the Philippines.
Well, actually, for annulment of marriage, the option is not only with the residents of the one seeking annulment. Pwede rin yung si spouse, residency ng spouse. So where that spouse lives, dun ka magpa-file. Kasi these are just for venue, for purposes of determining. Venue lang naman to. So, kasi pwede talaga ipapadismiss nila yung case for being in the wrong venue. So
if
in this case, pwede naman.
Petitioner ka? Hindi ba dapat petitioner?
Pwede naman sa spouse din.
Okay. So even if your spouse not there, if your spouse is a resident of that.
Yes, you allege in your petition that since your spouse lives in this area, so you can institute the petition sa jurisdiction na yon.
What if you cannot find
where the marriage was solemnized, celebrated, the local civil registrar where it is registered anyway, because you will have it cancel the marriage, di ba? Papabago mo siya. So pwede rin sa local, I believe pwede rin sa local civil registrar where the marriage was solemnized.
Now, when it comes to the proceedings itself, if you're from Canada or the US or Rome or wherever, you don't need to appear, right? All you need to do is, kung hindi kayo ikaw petitioner. No. Ikaw petitioner, yung spouse mong pinapadeclare mo psychologically incapacitated, your evidence will then be the psychiatrist na tumingin dun sa asawa mo, right? Not necessarily, the petitioner does not necessarily need to be present and to present any evidence, right? I mean, testimonial evidence, right?
Well, actually, during this is a family case, I am not a family court, but the procedure are all the same. There is the initial stage of pre-trial. During the pre-trial, yes, during the pre-trial, the petitioner is required to be there with the counsel. But in this case, if you are in a foreign land, you're outside the Philippines, you can execute a special power of attorney.
Okay. Pero
para siya na lang ang mag-a-appear on your behalf because of impossibility, especially at this time, di ba, may pandemic na naman. So, yung restrictions na yon for you to appear in court, pwede naman yon.
What about Zoom? May Zoom na ba ngayon? Zoom appear?
The Zoom, it's more of the official platform of the judiciary is the Teams, yung 360, Microsoft Teams.
Okay. So, doon ka. So, pwede naman yon.
Pwede naman, yes.
What about
coordinate with the court, yung mga
so yung lawyer mo sa Philippines magko-coordinate para
Yes, there is a circular for the procedure ng mga video conference abroad, yung witnesses abroad. Yes.
Okay. That's good. So, meron tayong way.
Unlike before, no, we have these modes of discovery, deposition, right?
Deposition. Wala naman deposition ngayon. Hindi na, pwede pa rin naman, di ba?
Pero, but it's still there, but we actually, the Supreme Court encourages it, but hindi pa rin eh.
No.
For now, mas ina-avail na lang yung video conferencing.
Oo. Kasi kita mo eh. Mas madali.
Oo. Mas mahirap siya.
Mas mahirap ang
the
video
process
conference?
Sa video conference, the procedure. There is a procedure you have to follow. The time, there are restraints. So,
yun na nga.
You have to, of course, if you're outside the Philippines, you have to go to the embassy.
So,
Tapos
Philippine Embassy, and then dun ka pa magsiset ng
for schedule.
Ay, grabe nga. Mas mahirap yun.
It has to be within business hours because a judge cannot hear a case beyond the business hours, official hours ng court.
So, you mean to say, itong sinasabi mo na video conferencing, when you say, when you said you have to go to the embassy, I thought just to make an appointment. Are you saying that you have to go to the embassy and conduct the video conference in the embassy?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Mahirap nga.
Ngayon kasi, the courts are equipped with computers for video, because ang mga natin, like in criminal cases, all detainees are no longer brought to court.
Oh, talaga?
Yes. Yung lahat ng mga detainees, dun lang sila kung saan sila. Oo. Tapos video conference lang yan, isa-isa.
Dito rin, dito sa Canada may ganyan. Meron may video court. Pero
halimbawa, if the prosecution now would need the accused to be identified, so we have this lineup.
By video?
We request. Can you put other inmates to be mixed with this person so that the witness in court can now identify or pinpoint kung sino yung accused.
Kung ako yung witness, sasabihin ko, Judge, sigurado bang hindi filtered yan?
We actually
filtered yan.
Actually, yung mga we call it yung BJMP or yung mga precinct doon, naka-filter din yung background.
Hindi yung face filter, yung gaya niyan, tanggal ng wrinkle.
Hindi naman. And then, most of the time kasi the inmates, they have masks. So for purposes lang ng lineup, we tell them to remove. Pero minsan kahit hindi pa nga nare-remove, nakikilala agad ng
Talaga?
witness. So hahanga ka, especially in drug cases. The arresting officers na when they're required to identify the accused, most of the time I request 4 to 5 inmates. Paghahalu-haluin niya. Kung kalbo yung accused, I make sure na lahat ng inmates na kukunin lang are puro kalbo. Parang ganon. I'm sorry, I'm just...
but kalbo yung isa, bigla naglagay ka na may buhok.
Kasi pag iba-iba yung features, syempre, it will be easily identified.
So, naman. Imagine, kalbo siya, tapos yung tatlo may buhok.
Di ba? So, alam mo na, di ba? Yung mga ganun ba? Yeah.
Okay. Now, nasa na ba tayo? So, paano tayo napunta doon?
Video conferencing.
Tingnan mo na, we were talking about annulment. Okay. Yes. So, tignan mo, mabilis yung andar ng takbo ng usapan natin. Pero meron akong gustong balikan dito Going back to property. Merong case ako na alam na may isang heir sold the property na mamanahin niya. Napatay na yung pinagmana. Like, let's say mother. Namatay yung mother, nag-iwan ng 2 anak. Pero they never transferred the property in their names, right?
Okay.
Yung isang anak, binenta yung share niya. Nabenta naman. Right? To someone na alam na hindi naman kanya yon, wala sa pangalan niya yon, 'di ba? Hindi pa nata-transfer. Anong remedy nung isang heir?
That's for annulment. The annulment of sale.
Yun na lang.
That will be, regional trial court yan.
Kasi hindi naman, hindi naman buyer in good faith yung isa. Kasi how can you be a buyer in good faith knowing that you know this person is not the person who is on title, diba?
Yes.
Di ba ang linaw-linaw nun? Right? So yun lang. Gusto ko lang idiin. Ganun.
Annulment of sale, and if it has been transferred, of course, also annulment of title. And then there is the reconveyance. Medyo complicated. These are lawyer talks na.
Kasi yun nga, actually hindi lang itong case isa lang to. Marami yan. I'm sure may mga tao na akala nila, and I always hear this from friends too, na yung lupa nga nung nanay namin, bibenta na namin, nasa pangalan nino, sa nanay ko. Sa nanay mo, patay na. Paano may bibenta? May gusto naman bumili kahit nasa pangalan ni nanay. So ngayon, pwede ba yon? Anong pwedeng remedy? Kung pwede ba? So, okay, is it possible for this person, for the heir, to transfer or sell the property that has not been, transferred to their names to another person if they all consent? Anong gagawin?
They first have to execute an extrajudicial settlement.
Yun nga. So, kailangan pa rin di ba? Hindi mo pwede.
Without that, you cannot. Yes.
Yeah. So, now, after you execute an extrajudicial settlement of estate, and yung portion na yun talagang ibinigay sa'yo, that's when, time's up na daw, that's when you can sell your property kahit hindi pa naplilipat sa pangalan.
Transfer, yes.
Right?
You can do it eventually.
Kasi identified na iyon na talaga.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yeah, so yun ang dapat yung gawin. Wag na lang kayong basta nagbebenta. You need to go through EJS, extrajudicial settlement. Ito na naman po yung masalimuot. And I've talked about this in previous episodes about the amnesty on estate taxes. Right?
Yes, ang mahal ng tax.
Ang mahal, oo nga. Kaya ako mahabol because mahal talaga. And right now, the amnesty ends June 2023. A year from now. Don't think you have a year. It's a long time. It's not. Meron pang publication yan. Hahanapin mo yung heirs. Lahat sila pirma. Kung merong gusto mag-waiver pa yan. Ang dami pong gagawin. And then, gaya niyan. Like I myself, meron akong ginagawang EJS ngayon sa amin. I hit a wall because may nagka-problema isang property, may hindi pa rin. Ang dami. So, for those of you watching right now, if you have property which you inherited and you have not transferred it to your name, now is the time to do it, to execute an extrajudicial settlement of estate so that you can pay the estate taxes free of the penalty. Kasi ang penalty, we calculated with Attorney Ginny Lim for, I think, ang example namin was the decedent, yung pinagmanahan, died in 1990. So sa 2021, tsaka siya...
The penalty is every month.
Oo. So alam mo kung magkano, 1 million pesos property na namatay 1990, hindi binayaran, until 2020, you have to pay $6 million penalty.
Yes. Oh my God.
Imagine that. So, if I were you, wag na po kayong magpatumpik-tumpik, bilisan nyo na, humanap na kayo na abogado. May nagtanong sa akin, kailangan ba na may abogado para dyan? Sige, good luck kung kaya mong gawin mag-isa. Gawin mo. But you don't know anything. I'm sure you don't even know what I'm talking about. I say EJS. Kung hindi mo alam ang ibig sabihin ng EJS, hindi mo kayang gawin mag-isa yun. So, kumuha ka na ng abogado. Right?
These matters are they really have to be handled by lawyers.
Yes. Hindi pwedeng ikaw lang. So, yun. Sagot na natin yon ni Judge. And then, now let's go to, ito. Is there domestic criminal harassment? Because in Canada, I mentioned this in my podcast. In Canada, we have this, what you call, under the criminal code, it's called criminal harassment. Ito usually, yung iba domestic. Meaning, may relationship yung dalawa. Yung, halimbawa, nag-break na yung mag-boyfriend, yung boyfriend, kinukulit si babae, nagtetext, sinabi na ng babae, tigilan mo na ako, leave me alone, stop texting me. Sige pa rin, sige. Si babae can go to the police and tell the police, eto, mga text, I told him ayoko na, he is harassing me, I feel harassed. And I'm scared. And sometimes you get scared kasi, di ba, naman nangungulit. Dadamputin ngayon si lalaki. Kasi that's a crime here in Canada. So my question is, in the Philippines, even stalking, 'di ba? Dito hindi pwede 'yon. Sa Philippines, and I explained this before, let's face it. Kasi tayo were very laid back people, right? Ang mga North Americans masyadong stiff, masyadong seryoso, kaya ang dami sa kanilang nagpipills ang dami may psychiatrist kasi masyado silang seryoso sa buhay. So sa atin, pag may nanliligaw sa'yo, tas ayaw mo, diba, tas sinusundan-sundan ka, dito yung stalking. Right? Sa Pilipinas, ay naku, type kasi ko niyan. Diba, ganun na yun. Kasi type ako niyan eh. Diba? Right? Hindi stalking sa atin. Yung parang, ngayon na lang siguro nababanggit ng mga bata yung word na stalking, pero growing up, pag may bubuntot-buntot sa'yo, kahit tatakot ka eh, ano ba yan? Kasi naman may gusto sa akin. Ganun lang yun. But that's a crime, di ba? Yung hindi ka pwede manggano kasi harassment din yun, right? So yung tanong ko sa iyo, Judge, meron bang ganyang klaseng crime dyan? Halimbawa, ex-girlfriend mo. Halimbawa, kahit sa ex-girlfriend o ex-boyfriend.
Sige, this would mean that there is a relationship, di ba?
Yeah, oo.
In the past, present. Okay. What we have right now is a protection for women. We have this VAWC. This is Republic Act 1960.
Yeah.
Violence against women and child. So what covers this law? So this is any person who would commit these acts against a woman. It could be the wife or the former wife. Or this person has sexual or dating relationship. Okay, so that's number 2. And the last one is if that person has a common child with the woman.
So dapat may anak.
No, these are instances. These are exclusive.
Exclusive. Okay. Hindi siya. Okay.
Or it would be there is an ongoing relationship. May anak yung babae sa iba. Pag in-abuse yun, covered din ng even though hindi nila anak, pero anak nung girl, covered siya ng protection.
Dito ang tawag namin dyan, domestic.
Yes. Dito, VAWC na ang ano dyan.
Okay. So ngayon, paano yung mga same-sex relationship?
That is why the law says any person.
So halimbawa mag-on. Yung mga tao hindi naiintindihan.
Any person committing acts against a woman.
So
any person,
kung ikaw yung tomboy, ikaw hinaharas, ikaw kinukulit, this will still apply to you, babae.
A person has sexual or dating relationship.
Okay,
any
so yung mga
yes.
Okay, so linawin natin yan sa mga audience natin.
So,
yung mga same-sex relationship dyan, mag-on. Okay, tomboy tsaka babae. Huwag niyo isipin na yung tomboy lang pwede mangharas sa inyo. Okay? Kayo rin, kasi babae yun. Right? So mag-fall under that.
Yes, because the law is very clear. Any person, any acts committed by any person against a woman.
Against a woman.
Yes.
Yun. So, woman yan. Kumpleto aparato niyan as a woman. Right? So, kung yung mga girlfriend, mga ex-girlfriend, tigilan na ha. Huwag nang maghabol. Kasi baka kasuhan kayo sa VAWC ng mga abogado dyan sa tabi-tabi nila. Diba? Hindi, sinasabi ko lang. Diba? Huwag na ngayong mangulit. Okay? Kasi pag kayo nang haras, pwede kayong makasuhan under VAWC. Okay?
VAWC. Yes.
Yan. Nililinaw lang natin yan. So, yung mga text.
Ang penalty dyan, penalty dyan.
Anong penalty?
Imprisonment. Ang penalty dyan.
Makukulong ka pa.
Yes, the highest would be Christian Mayor. I don't know if you remember your penalties. Christian Mayor would be 6 years and 1 day to 12 years.
Wow! 6 years kang walang telepono. Sige, subukan mong mag-text ulit. Tigilan na ha. Yun lang. Tsaka yung mga, paano? So, hindi magpa-fall ang lalaki dyan. Paano kung lalaki ang hinaharas? Kasi dito, pwede. Dito, ang lalaki pwede rin mag-file ng kaso against the woman. Kung halimbawa, yung babae, naghahabol, text ng text, sumusunod-sunod, buntut-buntutan.
I remember when I was in the Supreme Court, there was one case. There was one case, a VAWC. The husband actually questioned the constitutionality of VAWC.
Kasi discriminatory.
They're saying the women are not the only person in a relationship that is abused.
Yeah. O nga naman.
It could be na lalaki din.
Mhm.
But you know the rule, these are in law school. It is taught na if it is hypothetical, the Supreme Court cannot make any ruling on the matter.
Oo. Yung mga Supreme Court man.
This is in the Supreme Court. And
Oo. Teka.
this is published na itong decision na to. I just forgot the case.
But-
Pero yun nga.
VAWC is violence against women.
Against women and children, yes.
Eh di gumawa sila ng VAWC.
Wala pa ngayon, but the intention of the law is to basically protect the women. This is because of course here in the Philippines, standing rule pa rin women are of the weaker sex. Yes, they're still more vulnerable as compared to the men. Yes. So for now, the law is really intended for women until and unless there will be cases now coming from the husband as abused husbands. So maybe that's the time na pwedeng mag-recommend ng Supreme Court sa lawmakers.
But you know that's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen in the Philippines because Filipinos are machos, right?
Yes.
You know, hindi sila pupunta sa pulis, binugbog ako ng asawa ko.
Unfortunately, yes.
Diba? So that's not gonna happen. We all know that. It's never gonna happen unless maraming lalapitan. No. But what about, ayun lang, when it comes to same-sex then, both men, paano na yun, diba? One is, diba?
They cannot claim it under VAWC. So they could seek under remedies under the revised penal code. They would fall under the offenses in the revised penal code.
So yun lang. So in other words, it's not really unconstitutional because there's an equivalent and a law equivalent to this, right? So kung hindi kayo, men cannot file anything under that law, but you can go to the revised penal code for any violence done against you, right?
Yes.
There's assault, diba? Yung ganon. So yun. So hindi naman, may remedy ka pa rin. It's not like wala kang remedy, right? Okay, good. Now, we already talked about Philippine law on wills. Yun nga, yung may legitimate, Ngayon, we were talking about wills. And we kind of brushed on intestate succession. Yun yung wala kayong naiwan na will.
By law. This is succession by law.
Oo. So, dyan nga lalong papasok yung pinag-usapan natin kanina na compulsory heir na yun na papasok yun. So ngayon, I'm sure marami magtatanong, yung mga namatay na walang will, ano mangyayari doon?
You mean for the distribution of the estate?
For the distribution. So ganun pa rin extrajudicial settlement nga.
Yes.
Right?
It would still fall there, yes. If voluntary yan, voluntary. Otherwise, you go to court.
So usually, ang mangyayari kasi niyan, di ba? In order for the ball to start rolling, someone will file the EJS. At kung hindi ka payag, di-oppose mo yung...
Yes.
Diba? Ganun ang mangyayari. Kasi usually, syempre, voluntary yung EJS, extrajudicial settlement, because you really...
It's an agreement among the heirs. Settlement niya.
And, guys, di ba, Judge, in order for the extrajudicial settlement to happen, you have to agree first.
Yes.
Dito. Paano kung may isang ayaw mag-agree? Isa sa heirs, not sila, except one.
That person will have to go to court. That person will have to go to court and seek for the judicial settlement of the estate. So that's where it would be, the properties will be collated, inventoried, and then distributed accordingly.
So mangyayari ganito, nag-file na extrajudicial settlement tong mga to, biglang ayaw niya. So now, he has to go to file sa court. Kung ayaw niya rin mag-file, pwedeng sila na lang, di ba?
Sila na lang.
Anyone interested, in settling the matter, we'll go to court. Right?
Sa sa EJS kasi, all the heirs has to sign.
Oo. Or waive.
Otherwise, pwedeng ma-invalidate yun by this, one person na mag-o-oppose.
Oo.
So that's the problem with the EJS.
Oo. So, kung wala mag-o-oppose, good. Pag may nag-oppose, judicial.
Judicial talaga, yes.
Ngayon, last question. Yung, nagmana sila ng property sa father nila. And it was divided into, let's say, 2, yung property, yung lupa. But there's an ancestral home in the middle of this property. Sabihin na natin na mas malaking portion na punta sa kaliwa kay A, right? Mas maliit na portion na punta kay B nung bahay, right? Ngayon si B gusto ipag-iba yung bahay.
Okay.
Di ba, I don't know, but from what I remember, kung kanino yung mas malaking property, kung sino yung portion na mas malaki na punta sa kanya nung bahay, let's say, 3/4, mas meron siyang karapatan dun sa bahay na yon, right? But you can also not, I guess, ignore the fact that portion of that house is in the property, on the land of the other heir, di ba? Of B. So may karapatan din siya dun sa portion na yon, right? So anong gagawin, anong remedy para kung ayaw ipag-iba ng isa, gusto ipag-iba ng isa, ano mayayari? Di ba, kung sino yung gustong gumawa ng, ng something na hindi, na out of the ordinary, ganyan, mapapagiba, siya yung dapat mag-file sa court, di ba?
Oo. Kasi first of all, you have to first consider na the improvement is separate from
the property, the land. Oo.
Di ba? The land. So, yung house, that
does not belong to anyone.
Di ba? Parang what was divided was the land. So now the controversy would be the land. So under civil code natin, i-determine mo kung whose rights would be more greatly affected by the, so this would appear na encroachment, di ba? Yung encroachment ng portion ng house na kung 3/4 na nun, and then you want to preserve the improvement on the land, di ba? So now our civil code recognizes the right of yung majority na. So yung bigger portion na nasa kanya na, may option siya to purchase yung affected portion lang.
Nung kabila,
Oo, nung kabila. But this is on the condition na may matitira pa rin.
Dun sa
kabila. Oo, pero kung mapiprejudice din siya doon, the issue now would be kung willing the other person, let's say in this case si A, willing to buy the entire property. Ang magdi-demand na ng price noon would be B. Si B na.
Pag ayaw ni B, ibenta yung property niya, judge siya yung napunta nung gagawin mo dito.
Ay magsampa na ng kaso.
So, ang magsasampa ng kaso si B, di ba? Kasi siya yung gustong ipag-iba di ba?
Yes.
Ngayon,
encroachment, yes.
Kasi encroachment nga. So, ang ipa-file yung encroachment. Pero, sabihin na natin na walang ganong nangyari. Okay naman sila. But they just want to settle, kanino ba tong bahay na to?
They can do so. They can agree or, rentals or whatever form of payment.
So, basta sa agreement is an agreement,
kasi,
right?
Di ba nga kasi magkahiwalay sila eh. Yung rights over the improvement is separate from the land. So, kung ano yung agreement nila sa bahay.
Lalo na if the improvement itself is in the name of the other party, diba? Yung si A.
Yes, yun pa.
Lalong may karapatan siya doon dahil nasa pangalan niya yung bahay, right?
So, siya nagbabayad ng taxes din doon eh, di ba? Remember, we have tax on the improvement.
On the improvement, yeah.
Yes.
So yun. So alam mo, maraming masasalimuot na issue ang lupa.
It is.
Right? Pagdating sa inheritance din, ayan, nag-aaway-aaway ang mga heirs, at hindi pa natin napag-uusapan legitimate, illegitimate. Diyan pa,
Exactly.
malaking
It's a
problema
very
yan.
controversial
It will
issue.
be for another day. Na hopefully, maybe Judge Minnelli again. But, kasi yan, talagang controversial yung legitimate, illegitimate. But I just want to clarify, Judge, hindi naman na-amend ang family code, right? Hindi pa na-amend.
Not yet.
Okay.
And actually, we now have implementing rules for family code. For the family code, yes. Because we now have the family courts. They now have, they just came out with a manual.
Mm-hmm.
The manual of procedure for family cases, family court cases. It just came out. This was, the chairman of this committee was my former boss, the Senior Associate Justice Bernabe, who just retired last May.
Oh. So, sige, next time, pag-usapan natin yan. Kasi pa yan masyadong madugo yan. Now, we have, unfortunately, we are at the end of our show. And, I learned a lot from Judge Carvajal. I keep saying Minnelli kasi first name. Anyway, we learned a lot from her. And hopefully, sa susunod, pwede rin natin siya ulit i-guess sa ibang issue naman. But any parting words to our audience? And by the way, our audience is this is a radio program based in Toronto, but we cater to the Filipino community all over the world kasi internet based, so they can watch it from YouTube, Facebook. It's under MCBN, PinoyRadio.com. So marami tayong nare-reach na kababayan natin na I'm sure maraming tanong about legal matters. Kaya kaya nga sabi ko, I think it's best to ask you kasi marami ka ng pinagdaanan as a lawyer, and now judge ka, marami kang case na pumupunta sa harap mo. So, at least mas knowledgeable ka. And this is the view from the bench, 'di ba? Kasi as a lawyer, iba yung, syempre, sometimes as a lawyer, depende kung nasa side ka, defense ka, ito yung focus mo. Kapag prosecutor ka, ang focus mo, prosecution, ganun. But as a judge, you weigh things. Kaya nga, I naisip ko, it would be best for you to be my guest because whatever I ask you, you're gonna be weighing things, kasi yun yung trabaho mo.
Always, which is just, which is proper, which is right, which is, you uphold the rule of law.
Yeah.
It's always the rule of law, di ba?
And I'm so proud of you. Imagine that, hindi man kailan lang. In law school, di ba, nagsasoccer lang tayo. Ganun lang. Ngayon, judge ka na, di ba? Congratulations.
I never thought I would wear the black robe. Right.
Ako kaya makapag-wear na. Hoy, nag-burn na ako ng black robe dito kasi yung suot namin sa superior. Para sa judge, kaya ko kaya?
Kaya mo. Kaya. Of course. Let's not talk about kung sinong mas senior sa atin.
Ayoko sabihin. Ganun kabatch ko siya. Biglang ganun Yung kabatch Oh, by the way, ito na. Dito na tayo sa portion na bumati ka naman, Judge. Sino bang gusto mong batiin dyan?
Okay, sige. Of course, my family knows about this.
Yes.
So my siblings in Baltimore, I have a sister. My eldest sister is in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
And my remaining siblings, I have 2 more sisters and 1 brother. They're all in Australia. They also know this. And of course, my sisters from different mothers, I call them the North girls. So Atty, Amy, and Doc Bernie. And of course, I have also from the judiciary, my special friends, Judge Meg and Judge Dons. And syempre, my Tagaytay family judges. Yeah.
I will visit you sa Tagaytay.
Of course.
I want to see your action, Judge.
I am a text away.
Sana wag kang matawa pag nandun ako sa audience. The joke. Well, as I said earlier, Judge Carvajal used to be my teammate in soccer in San Beda Law School. And so, batiin natin ang mga teammates natin.
Yes! Oo!
I was the team captain kasi ako nagbuo ng team. Wala ho talagang soccer team sa law school ever. Never in the history of San Beda Law School. Ako lang ang una at Yung una at huling, pag-graduate ko, wala nang soccer, di ba? Namatay na. So, ako yung team captain. And of course, ang co-captain ko, Chris Carpio Mintu, who is a lawyer as well, but is now in Vancouver. Hello, Chris. Yeah, she's now in Vancouver. And of course, si Speedy Vergara, Lilette Vergara, who is now I believe a prosecutor in Palawan. Siya yung Speedy Gonzales namin. Okay, siya kasi mabilis tumakbo.
Mabilis
And of
tumakbo.
course, Minnelli, judge na. O, diba? And Lucille Sering. Who would have thought?
Commissioner Sering.
Diba? Wow. I was really, and because just thinking about how we were when we were in law school, diba? Parang saya-saya biglang, uy, seryoso na.
Who would have thought?
I would have thought, right? When they said, saan pa siya? DNR pa siya. Undersecretary siya ng DNR. Do you believe that, Lucille? Congratulations. Okay, and of course, si Mick. Asa na kaya si Mick? Si Mick, si Michelle.
We also have another judge, si Judge Elisa.
Oh, really?
Also a judge, yes.
Oh, congratulations. Ito naman ang soccer team ko, ha? Talaga naman. Yan ang dala ng training sa soccer. Joke. Babatiin natin yung trainer natin mamaya. Of course, Michelle, I don't know where she is right now. Lisa Logan. Hi, Lisa. Rica Gatchalian is a lawyer.
Yeah.
Private practice siya, di ba?
Oo.
As you said, Elisa Sarmiento, Judge Elisa Sarmiento, congratulations. And Army Dayot, where is she? She's also a lawyer, but I don't know where she is right now.
Yeah.
Nagro-roll call ako because pag uwi ko ng Pilipinas, magre-reunion tayo, ha?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, Cecil Dignadice. Where is she?
I think she's in real estate ata ngayon sa mga condo.
Rowena Dimson. Saan ka na?
I wonder.
I wonder. Daisy, ang aming goalie.
Yes.
So, kung may na-miss ako doon sa mga teammates ko, I'm sorry na medyo matagal-tagal na yan eh.
It has been a while. How many decades?
I know. Huwag kayo mo maingay. So, yun. But yeah, I just want to say hello to my teammates. Ito, si Judge Minnelli, Carvajal, dalaw palang judge natin, that's nice. And meron tayong undersecretary, si Lucille Sering, di ba? I'm so proud of our team. And, and babatiin ko nga pala yung kapatid ko. Happy birthday, Reyna. June 10th ang birthday niya. And yung barkada ko, tapos na yung birthday niya, Lani Palacio. Belated happy birthday. And to all of those, May Balares Alampay, May 30 ang alam kong birthday niya. So belated happy birthday. And for the June celebrants, happy birthday to all of you. Pride month ngayon. So
actually anniversary ng husband ko and me on Sunday.
Happy anniversary. Sa Sunday nalabas to. Tamang-tama.
Really?
Yes. So,
okay.
So today is your anniversary.
18 years. 18 years
wow,
as
congratulations.
husband and wife, but 18 years. Took us more than 10 years bago kami nag-settle down.
Nice. So happy anniversary to
Thank you.
And so I guess that's it for now. Hopefully we'll see Judge Carvajal again in the show. If you have many questions, many more questions for her, just email me at maria@merlaw.ca. Again, that's Maria, MARIA, @merlaw.ca for any questions you may have. Or if you want me to discuss any topic, let me know. Maybe I can do something and mapagbigyan ko kayo, mapag-usapan natin yung mga gusto nyong topic na pag-usapan. So yun lang. Again, thank you, Judge Carvajal. Don't go yet, ha?
Thank you. I'm so happy for you, ha? Ang galing mo.
Sa show?
Yes!
I know.
Yes,
I love the
of
show.
course. And where you're going, ha? The path you're going.
Oh, I'm going there.
Yes. And I will wait for you here.
Yes, thank you. Well, okay. So, again, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Abangan niyo yung mga susunod since it's June. Most likely, actually, magkakaroon din ako ng I guess 1 or 2 episodes on LGBTQ. So I'm inviting those of members of the LGBTQ community. If you want to be guests on my show, you want to talk about something, I do have some topics I want to talk about, like same-sex marriage. I want to talk about that. Yung ganon. Email me and then you can be my guest on my show. So yun lang. And basta don't go yet.
Yeah.
Alam lang tayo, but we'll still, So yun. Again, thank you so much. Next, I'm trying to get Attorney Winston Hines as my guest. We have set an appointment already, but I hope it happens. So most likely, my next guest may be Attorney Winston Hines, another lawyer. So, abangan natin yun. Again, Judge Carvajal, thank you so much. And
anytime.
Yes, ayun na din nyo, anytime. Okay.
When I'm free. Wait.
Ako yan, yes. So, tatandaan ko yon. Meron akong evidence. So, to our audience, yung mga loyal audience natin dito sa Konting Kaalaman, Malaking Katulungan, thank you so much for watching. I hope you watch the next episodes pa and you continue supporting the show. Again, to the audience, ako po, si Attorney Maria Eleanor Rodriquez, ang inyong kaibigan, your source of information, and legal counsel who has the Filipino community's best interest at heart, dito po sa programang Konting Kaalaman, Malaking Katulungan. Till next episode!
Canada treats you to a whole new fiesta for 2022. This time, the party is extra special because we're celebrating Filipino heritage in 5 different cities: Vaughan, Toronto, Hamilton, Niagara, Montreal. This year, the festivities is tremendously huge. That showcases family-friendly Filipino festival. Don't miss the happiest cultural celebration in the world.